This just in, breaking news from the rock fight. A group of San Francisco-based tech investors have announced they are launching a subscription-based publishing ecosystem of adult-themed outdoor magazines. Gear Hunky Plus will debut this spring with an orgy of coverage of all things uncovered outside. The first issue will feature Alexi Handhold's attempt at the first clothing-free solo of El Capitan in Yosemite, complete with centerfold, listicles, and affiliate links. Gear Hunky Plus's glossy full-color print editions harken back to a day when people had to pay for their adult outdoor content or find it in the woods behind their house like everyone else.
While that may not be true, you know what is true? Ibex Merino is as home in your shop as duct tape on Denali. We're talking authentic heritage, real sustainability, privately owned, and of course, premium performance that has become legendary. From everyday essentials like the goat tee to expedition-ready pieces like the mammoth hoodie, Ibex has a premium merino layer ready to outfit any of your customers. Schedule some time with their team at GOA Connect in Kansas City this November. You know, maybe it's time to make a little room for the goat in your store.
Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and today we are looking at the future of Cotopaxi as their CEO, Lindsay Shumlas, joins the show. But first, some programming reminders. Be sure to come back to the show on Monday to join me and the Monday Boys, Owen Comerford and producer Dave. Some big news coming out on this week's Monday episode. You're going to want to check that out. Then on Tuesday, you're going to open the container with Doug Schnitzbahn. This week's guest with Doug is actually a former Rock Fight guest, Chris Keyes. He's going to be talking about Republic. And then on Thursday, an all-new Gear Abbey. Join Shantae Salabert and me as well, actually, on that podcast. That comes out next Thursday. You don't miss that. If you want to get more out of your Rock Fight experience, head over to rockfight.co and sign up for our newsletter, which comes out every so often when I get around to making it. And it's pretty damn good when it does. So you don't want to miss the next one. When's it going to come out? I don't know, but pretty soon. Also, make sure you send us your emails. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com and head over to Instagram and follow us where we are Rock Fight Co. Okay, in the spring of 2024, we released an episode of The Rock Fight called Cotopaxi, Doing Good or Just an Outdoor Trendy Vibe. And in that episode, I talked about how our iconic outdoor brands came to market and prominence on the back of innovation and established their legacy with an enduring iconic product. And in that episode, I questioned if Cotopaxi, which, no matter your opinion on them, has to be viewed as one of the more promising recent examples of a new brand to gain their own prominence in the outdoor space, could eventually join the ranks of Patagonia, the North Face, or Mountain Hardwear, given how they have positioned themselves and their product line. So here's a quick snippet from that episode in case you don't want to go back and listen to the whole thing. And what I'm trying to say is that Cotopaxi is building their brand on vibe. Their early days investment in young consumers with the Questival seems to have bought some goodwill, and the market has responded well to their color blocking aesthetic. But as they mature, what is going to carry them? Trends run out. And like I asked my co-host Justin Hausman in Monday's episode of The Rock Fight, if you were in the market for a basic black puffy, why would you choose Cotopaxi's over anyone else's? Since that time, I've been able to have multiple chats with the folks at Cotopaxi about who they are and what their plans are. And here on The Rock Fight, I think we've been pretty equal in both our criticism of Cotopaxi, the criticism coming on things like products, maybe their trade show setup, but also our praise of the brand. I mean, the brand made our top 5 apparel brands earlier this year. So today, we're finally able to get Lindsay Shumlas, Cotopaxi CEO, to come on and talk about both the questions I've had for a while and also take a look at what Cotopaxi will be doing in the future. So welcome back to The Rock Fight, where today we're taking the temperature of Cotopaxi with Lindsay Shumlas. All right, we're here today with Lindsay Shumlas, the CEO of Cotopaxi. After a long time, we're making it happen. Welcome to the show, Lindsay.
Thank you, Colin. I love that we're doing this. I'm super excited to be here. We've been talking about it for a while, and I'm glad we made it happen. So I'm excited to share more about Cotopaxi, our impact, and where we're headed.
And I want all other CEOs in the industry to take note. Lindsay's here. That's the open invite for you to match her vibe and her energy and come on The Rock Fight and talk about what's going on at your brand. Reach out. We want to talk to you. You're taking one for the team here because Cotopaxi, you get on the receiving end of some rocks from us. You've also gotten some latitude, some compliments, but you're here to talk, which is awesome. It's the way it should be.
We have. I mean, we've made some of your top lists. We've been called out for a few things. So, but Colin, you've been great, and we've had a nice rapport back and forth. So I'm excited to share more.
We don't get better without criticism. Us too, right? You gotta like take some lumps every once in a while. I'm like, oh yeah, we should probably not do that. So that's the way it should go. But
Well, I think it's good to, there's some accountability on the industry, right? So it's actually good. It's positive, I think, for all of us to have open dialogue about where we are and where we're going.
so back spring of 2024, I did an episode called Cotopaxi Doing Good or Just a Trendy Outdoor Vibe. And the point of that episode, I really want to take a look at what Cotopaxi was doing to establish itself as a modern outdoor brand, right? Comparing it to the Patagonias and the North Faces of the world, kind of once you sort of establish the modern outdoor industry. Because at least at the time, it felt like Cotopaxi was trying to kind of position themselves upon the launch of the brand alongside those types of brands. And if I fast forward to today, I'm not sure that's the case anymore. And that's kind of what I want to dig into. But you've been at the brand for about 18 months now. From your point of view, what is the positioning of Cotopaxi? Like, are you guys a traditional outdoor brand? Are you an outdoor leaning fashion brand, a travel brand? Like, how do you view what the brand is?
Well, I'm glad we're starting with this question. And spring of 24 was actually right when I had started with the brand. So I
See, you can take
remember
there's no responsibility for anything I was observing at that time. And it was way before you.
I did hear about it, obviously, and listened intently. And I think that was the start of our dialogue to coming on here at some point. But to answer your question, since our founding, we've believed the outdoors should be joyful, accessible, and also delivering on performance and creating impact. So for us, adventure and doing good have to go hand in hand. I don't think we've ever fit the traditional outdoor mold. And I
Mhm.
would say that's by design. So from day one, we were focused on blending outdoor energy with lifestyle versatility. And I would say, Colin, we're a proud outlier. We're built for people who love getting outside, but might not see themselves as outdoorsy. And while a lot of brands are now chasing crossover appeal, that's always been our lane.
Right.
So I don't think the future of outdoor is really about being the most hardcore. I truly believe it's about being the most welcoming and providing a positive experience in whatever the outdoors experience really means to you. So we know that the industry is shifting, and the growth in this industry is really happening in lifestyle, inclusivity, purpose, and we've always had authenticity and optimism at the core of who we are. And I'm incredibly proud to be one of the brands that's leading that shift. So whether you're hiking a local trail, you're exploring your own city, the brand has always been about inviting everyone into that adventure. And I truly believe that's what sets us apart. I've heard you talk on the Rock Fight podcast about the cover up the logo test. I don't remember
Yeah.
which episode that was. It was my
Probably like 1,000 at this point, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But it was one of my favorites
Yeah.
because if you truly applied that to Cotopaxi, you'd still know our products are ours. So we're not and haven't been this faceless, interchangeable brand. We stand for something real, and we always have. And, we make real, deliberate sacrifices to stay true to our mission. And we're going to continue to focus and help lead a do-good movement, showing that business can and should be a force for good in the world. And we're truly inclusive and welcome and listen to customer feedback. We've had our, Fuego down jacket. I think you talked about it maybe in that spring of 24 on that podcast, actually. So, it's got the traditional color blocking and it's versatile. After a lot of customer feedback and thoughtful design, we've completely revamped it. So better fabrics, smarter fit, fully sustainable, and more personality than ever. So again, I think, it's probably worth trying that jacket, Colin, but we've always, like I said, we've always kind of been between, I would say, a traditional outdoor brand and a versatile lifestyle brand. And we're going to continue to double down there.
Yeah, I think that jacket was, I think, at the heart of it because that episode was actually spawned out of talking, as I recall, a rep buddy of mine who was kind of making a comment of, when the trend moves on, maybe when like the color blocking sort of trend maybe moves on, like what's next? Like what's the thing that you kind of hang your hat on? And that's why I was bringing it was an interesting other thought experiment when if you look again at the old guy kind of point of view in the industry of you think Patagonia, you think Chinchilla. If you think the North Face, you think the Nuptse or the Denali or whatever. What's Cotopaxi's? And it was sort of like, hey, would you guys be at risk if the trend's like, okay, we're not doing that anymore? Like, so why would I buy a Cotopaxi piece? And I think that was sort of the thought experiment I was having that led to that episode. But I think, and we're going to get into it in a second. I want to ask you about the broader category. But do you think it's actually, I guess, either necessary or important to have almost that iconic product anymore? I don't necessarily think that it is. I think there was a time when you did. You needed to have that sort of like North Star, like, you want to know what we're about? That's it. Do you think that's even like, do you need that these days?
Well, I think you need products that, you've built equity in and that customers trust you for. I do.
Yeah.
And, that's why if you look at my Fuego example that we just talked about, we've now developed that into a much more modern fit. Is it the same traditional 3 stripes? No, but it's carrying on that traditional namesake that we've always had that our customers love, but in a new modernized fit that I would say has evolved, but doesn't walk away from the core of that jacket.
Yeah, because I mean, and it's funny you mentioned too, thinking about when one of my first meetings actually that I ever took when I was at Polar Tech was with CJ at this kitchen table in Sugar House in Salt Lake City.
I love that.
Right, as Cotopaxi's getting ready to launch, right? And I tell that story of like, that was what was interesting about working for Polar Tech because I had like those kinds of meetings, then you meet with really big brands too. But, at that time, there were outdoor brands and lifestyle brands, and then outdoor brands who had lifestyle products. So it totally makes sense that the early days of Davis and CJ and the crew there would want the brand to lean more on outdoor, would want to kind of position. You don't want to just be like, hey, we're American Eagle with better fabrics. Like, no, we're an outdoor brand. We want to have like a function and a purpose to exist. But since then, the participation in the outdoor space has grown significantly, right? Thanks COVID and everything else along the way, as well as just kind of generally gaining steam. And it's expanded to include more casual participants. And it's kind of led to the develop of what I call the 85% brands, sort of outdoor brands that can cover for you about 85% of what you want to do outside. But they're not even interested in having a pinnacle top of the mountain, like super technical, like all the bells and whistles, you see sponsored athletes kind of products. So the band, like I think of like the Howler Brothers, the Passengers, Hiker Kinds, that kind of thing. I mean, do you see that as a significant development happening in the industry, especially as the outdoor demographic sort of evolves?
Absolutely. I mean, I see that as probably one of the biggest shifts and most significant developments in outdoor right now. I mean, back to your point on COVID, right? The growth in participation has widened the tent.
Yeah.
But I would also say that I don't think most people need a closet full of just summit grade gear to enjoy the outdoors. I truly believe that customers want versatile, functional, and expressive products that feel authentic to how they actually live and not just how they recreate. And I actually believe this is where the growth is. And honestly, it's where the cultural relevance is too. So, I like to think that the future of the outdoor industry is less about only being technical and more about being accessible, inclusive, and honestly, optimistic. So, of course, you still have to have performance features. We always will. But, Colin, I'm really proud that we're at the forefront of that evolution. And when I want consumers and, people that recognize the llama and think of Cotopaxi, I want them to expect to see us on the trail and on the slopes, but also equally expecting us to be in an airport, on campus, at a coffee shop. So we're going to be joining customers on adventures big and small, and we'll continue to do that.
Do you pay attention to some of the, core versus casual discourse that exists in places like LinkedIn and stuff like that, and these sort of old guard who are clinging to what the outdoors is quote unquote supposed to be? Or is that at all across your desk?
It does. It comes across my desk. I mean, I pay attention to it. But again, that's not really influencing where we are headed because, we're staying true to who we are. And I would say where we've always been. It's like I said, it's our lane. And so I'm staying focused there.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I kind of look at where I'm like, I get it. We all have the things that we like hang our hat on to define who we are. And if you kind of have grown up in the 90s, early 2000s outdoor industry and you don't like, no one likes change. No one looks, wants to grow up in their town and like see like the Target where the mom and pop used to be. I get that. But it's also just so obvious, like how things are. If you really pay attention, if you see that a lot of the interesting like product growth happening outside of the larger outdoor brands, like
It is.
what's happening on like, if to invoke Lloyd Vogel, the garage grown gear world, like
Yeah.
the smaller cottage industry, like small niche brands, like that's where a lot of the really interesting things are happening. And
I
so the
know.
things that people I think are complaining about are often actually happening if you just kind of look in different places.
They are. I completely agree with you. And I think that's the opportunity for us to, see what brands the consumer is engaging with and, meeting the customer where they are. And I think that's really important for our industry right now.
Is the Questival going to come back?
I don't know. I mean, I will tell you this, 2026 it's got a lot of exciting things ahead. So we'll see. The Questival, we all love the Questival, right? And I mean, the innovation from Davis and CJ and Stefan around the Questival is just, I get chills every time I watch one of the videos and I see what they were able to do. So, there's the Questival into 10 years later looks different.
Let's take a quick break to hear from today's sponsors. Just in time for fall, we're happy to introduce a new sponsor to the Rock Fight, Fjällräven. Fall doesn't get nearly enough credit for hiking. Everyone thinks that summer's the season, but for hikers, autumn is the real deal. You got cooler days, you got quieter trails, and you got more space. And fall is exactly what Fjällräven's Keb collection is built for. Born from trekking in northern Sweden, their jackets, fleeces, trousers let you focus on nature, all specifically designed to make cold optional. Check out the whole Keb collection by clicking on the link in the show notes or search for it when you head to fjällräven.com. That's where your fall begins. So last week on The Rock Fight, we learned that mosquitoes kill more humans every year than any other animal. And like the Dalai Lama once said, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. But I doubt the Dalai Lama was sleeping in an Amp Light long sleeve shirt from Royal Robins, because the Amp Light long sleeve, like everything else in Royal's MPT collection, has mosquito protection technology. Relying on protection through construction, MPT is the chemical-free solution to mosquito-free days in the outdoors. To shop the entire MPT collection from Royal Robins and stay bite-free in these waning days of summer, head to royalrobins.com. Today's episode of The Rock Fight is presented by Lem's Shoes. As the summer season wraps up, now is a great time to get ready for fall with Lem's. From easygoing slip-ons and refined leather lace-ups to tough, trail-ready boots, Lem's offers footwear for every occasion, and their fit is unmatched. If you have never experienced the fit of a pair of Lem's, I actually genuinely feel sorry for you. Built with comfort, durability, and versatility at the core, their collection is ready to take you wherever the season leads, and with fresh, exciting styles just around the corner. Be sure to stay tuned, but in the meantime, head to lemshoes.com right now to get your feet into the best fitting shoe you've ever worn. Hey everyone, before we keep going here, I need to tell you about our teammates at Darby Communications. Like I've been telling you, if you run an outdoor, an endurance, or an active lifestyle brand, there is no better PR and digital marketing belay partner or drinking buddy than Darby. They can help your business reach new heights, and they might just keep you from falling on your ass. Since we started working with Darby, more and more people, and this is an important point now, guys, I want you to hear me on this, more and more people have reached out to us here at The Rock Fight because of that messaging. Look, guys, I'm dead serious. If they can help us, they can help anybody. Hit them up at darbycommunications.com. Do it today. And now, back to the show. Well, so we mentioned at the top, it's been a bit of a roller coaster for you guys here on The Rock Fight. You made our top 5 apparel brand, which was a big deal. Loved that. But then you showed up kind of low score on the Owen Index, which we did a few weeks ago, which kind of measures the brand's positive engagement with their retail partners. So with all that kind of in mind, what are your priorities as we were looking ahead to 26? And we're not going to mention the T word and our current presidential administration. We're going to assume a level playing field.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are fingers crossed that we get to that level playing field? But what are your priorities for the brand in 26? Are we talking more wholesale, D2C, all the above? Like, what are you guys focused on?
We are. I mean, it's been, an exciting 25 building for the future. So our focus continues to remain on responsible growth. We do have a strong emphasis on building an omni business. I believe in, I said this earlier, but meeting the customer where they are. So
Right.
for us, we're prioritizing our e-commerce business, our full price stores. We have tremendous international growth right now, all while, though, continuing to serve our wholesale partners. So, as we move into 26, you'll see growth from us really across all of those channels. There's some new wholesale partners. There's really continuing to build with our existing wholesale partners that we truly value, some new stores as well. So we're going to double down on meeting the consumer where they are. I believe very much this multi-channel strategy will enable us to continue to scale our social impact and our global presence. From day zero, we've been committed to, I like to say we're, aggressive and ambitious, but focused on profitable growth. And it's consistently allowed us to deliver on our founding mission of human impact, which, as you know, was also very important to us. So even during these challenging economic times, we did that. In 2023, we gave over $1 million to the Cotopaxi Foundation, despite industry contraction. So, we're going to exit 25 in a very healthy position. I'm incredibly proud of, what we've delivered this year. And it's setting us up for a really strong 26. So there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon, including some new brand partnerships, some exciting launches. So you'll see a lot more from us, but staying true to our roots and everything you and I just talked about in terms of, ensuring that we're still bringing optimism, versatility, performance will be embedded through everything that we do. But it's really that chance to meet the customer where they are.
That's a good point. There's doing well and then there's doing good. That was sort of a phrase when I was at Timberland that Jeff Swartz always said, and doing good was really important at Timberland's point of existing back then. I assume it still is now. Does that resonate? I mean, obviously it resonates with anybody paying attention, right? And the fact of what a brand does. And I want to ask you about the Más Vida resale collection in a second, but does the doing good part of it, I mean, look, a cynic would say good lip service, right? To a bunch of people who are environmentally minded or socially minded, right? But as in terms of which by the way, even if it doesn't resonate, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, right? It's kind of because doing good is good all on its own. But how does that resonate with the consumers? What is the feedback you get from either wholesalers, consumers, or whatever about the impact that has?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a strong connection point. I mean, we know that our brand awareness and customer connects very much with our mission and our impact work. And I think we've been very clear about it since day one. We weave it through really all of our consumer, wholesale, e-com connection points. And so for us, we will continue to double down there. I do think consumers today are looking for authenticity, Colin. And, yes, there's a lot of businesses where, doing good means many different things. For us, what I'm so proud of is it is truly at the core of who we are.
Yeah.
I have not seen us, as I said, even in tough economic times, waver from that. And I think that's what makes it incredibly important for us to continue. It's a part of who we are. It is the core of the brand, and our customers and our wholesale partners understand it. And I think it sets us apart.
So then you have part of the kind of product side of doing good. You have your Más Vida, which is resale collection, right? Kind of, looking secondhand.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then the Del Dia line, which is basically dead stock, product creation. What do you want to see come out of those things? What are your hopes for those two initiatives in terms of on the product front as we the tricky thing, and I've been pretty vocal about this, not just for Cotopaxi, but in general, of the almost hypocrisy a lot of times with outdoor brands, like, hey, we want to save all these places, but don't look at where we're making this, that kind of thing, right? So those are really important initiatives from that perspective, but to your point, you do have to balance out, we still got to make money to exist. So what are your hopes and dreams for those two things specifically?
So first, for anyone who doesn't know, right? So our Del Dia line, and I think this kind of goes back to the Spring 24 podcast as well.
It's your crown jewel, man. It's so cool.
I have to go back to it, right?
I mean, that just means it was a really good podcast episode. And anyone just listening, we've had a lot of new listeners since that episode came out. Go back and listen.
Yeah. I mean, we were founded on Del Dia, right? So you talk about innovation for Cotopaxi. I mean, this is at the core of our product innovation, still is today. So we launched with Del Dia. It's our collection of unique, bold, colorful packs made 100% from remnant materials. So, we've continued to add to this line and evolve it. You'll actually see a lot of evolution in this line starting in the fourth quarter of this year. And so more to come, but we founded the brand with innovation in remnant materials. We continue today, again, not only in packs, but in apparel. You've probably seen some of our apparel lines. So you'll see more extension in this area. And what I love about Del Dia is, I don't know about you, but every airport I go to, it's what I see.
You're the Hoka footwear of backpacks in the airport now. Like everybody's got on their Hokas and their Del Dia backpack.
I see it, and you can't.
You do see it around a lot. Yeah,
you do.
I've been working in this industry for going on 30 years, and so no one gets real excited when I bring things home from a trade show anymore. And you guys gave me a pack at Switchback. It didn't last about 10 seconds by the time I got in the house. I think my wife took that one. Usually, it's one of the kids taking it.
Yeah, no, that's true. We did, yes. But to go back to Más Vida, so Más Vida is our resale, re-commerce program. As you know, customers send back their pre-loved gear. It's cleaned, repaired, and resold. So as you think about both of those programs, right, we're still invested heavily in both of them. We're very proud of our resale program. It gives customers the opportunity to extend the life of their products. So, we've moved from a linear take, make, sell model to a circular approach. And, it's central to the ethos of sustainable gear stewardship. So you'll continue to see us focus on Más Vida, and you're going to see us continue to push ourselves on circularity. We believe very much that you also have to design for circularity and repairability, as well as supporting the program in the long run. So for us, it's actually about both and ensuring that we're always pushing ourselves forward.
Okay, and this was, I think, something I mentioned probably in that same episode, but shouldn't they be a little more prominent on the website where Más Vida and Del Dia are? I don't think they're quite as buried as maybe as when I made that episode. I think they're a little more, but also I feel like, man, that is such a cool thing to hang your hat on the product side. And given the mission of the brand, that should just almost be like stop number one for anyone popping on the website is like these two things.
Yeah. So, Más Vida is prominently featured in central navigation on the site. We do, quite a bit of consumer marketing for Más Vida. In terms of Del Dia, I mean, we support it in our always on marketing. So it's always heavily featured. We direct and drive a lot of traffic to those product and category pages, whether that would be in paid media, whether it would be with our influencer and ambassador partners. You see a lot of it on social. But one of my most favorites actually is, I don't know the last time you were in one of our stores, but we are very strategic that Del Dia is always at the front of the store.
Nice.
And we prominently feature, it's eye-catching from a color perspective.
Sure,
it's super unique in the market. But it's also that great conversation starter with a customer new to the brand because you have a story to tell.
Right.
Quick glance, I'm sure at the site, it probably doesn't, you don't see it stand out. But we do make sure that it's exposed. And we have also a lot of other products as well. So as you know, we're always striking that balance.
When you look at resale in general, and we've talked about this and a bunch on the show too in the last year about like, listen, credit where credit's due if everybody starts their own resale program, but also feels to me like that's not the best long-term solution is that everybody has their own resale like I want to get a Cotopaxi, resale thing. I got to go here versus like, hey, how about, a store where it has all resale items, which I know is like the gear trades and there's folks out there who are
Yep.
trying to do that. How do you see that evolving? I mean, is that something, where would you like to see that evolve to where it's not so brand specific, and insular from the larger thing, and it would be more of a marketplace for resale?
Yeah, I mean, we're a huge fan of that. You'll see some more news from us on that front coming soon, but I'm very supportive of the marketplace approach and finding partners that enable trade-in, reuse, and repair. And a little sneak peek, we're even talking about how in some key markets, we could even create an experience that is not just repairability for us, but repairability in the market. And how do we kind of create more of that flywheel? So, we're extremely supportive, and I think you'll see some fun things from us coming soon.
I swear Annie Eigel didn't ask me to ask you that.
I wonder if Annie did. And of course, Annie's leading it. And
I thought of her when you said your answer. I'm like, oh, I bet you that's the person behind all of this.
It is.
You go.
Annie is on the forefront of it.
We're pro Annie on the Rock Fight.
Oh, she's amazing. And, not only leading impact, but she leads circularity now as well.
All right. Well, actually, I like seeing those changes and hearing stories like that. Actually, that was interesting when we had Andrew from Livson on last year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I loved hearing that their head of product is also their head of sustainability. Because, I've definitely been at those brands where, the head of product is hiding as the head of sustainability is walking down the hall. I'm like, oh God, they're not going to let me make the thing that I want to make, and it's like, no, just blend the positions, man. You know what? You got to, you set the goals and you got to achieve the goals. I loved that. So seeing some, synergy there is a good thing.
It is. I completely agree.
Last question on the product side, because I have to ask because I'm a fabric nerd. Have you improved your fleece?
Well, it's
been a minute. I have not seen it lately, so it may not be fair. I'm just saying.
It's a great
I don't work
question.
for Polar Tech anymore, but I still am hurt when I see bad fleece in the marketplace.
I know. Well, so I just left Salt Lake City last week, and I have to tell you, I had the most inspiring product meeting. Just have to give credit to our amazing product team because they are doing an amazing job. And we launched all new fleece in 26. So, I think you'll be excited by what you see. But yes, it's a full relaunch of fleece. So we'll still have it in the market right now.
Yeah.
But you'll see that
that's great.
We're unwinding and relaunching all new fleece. So we're incredibly excited. I know you and I have talked about, what does product innovation mean? And truly, I think you're going to see that from us, not only in terms of, and I truly believe we've always been innovative. We've balanced how do we continue to lead in sustainability while bringing the best products to market, and with our bold color. That's a big challenge for a team to do because we don't sacrifice any of those things.
Right.
We deliver on all of that in our product. But as we move into 26, you'll see quite a bit more innovation coming from us, both in fabrication, in versatility of silhouettes and styles, the expansion within our packs. So there's a lot coming that, again, carry on the core DNA of who we are, but continue to build into, I would say, the versatility our customers are looking for right now.
All right. So last question, like I said, 18 months on the job, you're past the sort of like the honeymoon period. You're past the, what are we going to do about this period? You're kind of like, you have a handle on what you've got. It sounds like, you talked about a bunch of your initiatives that you have coming up, which are exciting. So if everything works out the way you hope today, where would you like to see Cotopaxi in 5 years? Like where should the brand be if everything goes the way you would like it to go?
Well, okay, this is my favorite question you've asked because I feel incredibly lucky to be in this position.
On the Rock Fight is what you mean.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm incredibly lucky to be here, so thank you. Yes,
No.
but to be the CEO of Cotopaxi. And, my vision is to carry on Davis's founding dream. So first, we're going to do a lot more good in the world. I said this earlier. What I love about this brand is the passion. We're ambitious. And in 5 years, I want Cotopaxi to be a household name and recognized not only for the bold products, but for the passion and purpose and impact that we bring. So, for me, leading a company with such huge ambitions is truly a privilege. And I believe we have an opportunity to make Cotopaxi not just a brand people know, but one that sits at the center of culture and will drive lasting relevance and meaningful change in the world. And I envision that we'll become the go-to outdoor lifestyle brand. We'll be celebrated not only for our exceptional gear, but for the vibrant global community that we inspire and our unwavering commitment to making business a force for good. And, from day one, our mission's been clear. We're going to grow boldly yet responsibly. And that mindset has empowered us to deliver meaningful impact, even in tough economic climates, and, continuing to give the level that we are to the Cotopaxi Foundation and continuing to do good is at the core of who we are. So, as we grow, we get to do more of that. And I'm incredibly excited about that. I see us at the center of intersectional brands across outdoor and lifestyle. And I'm really excited to welcome more into this space because I want more people to find themselves in the outdoors, again, whatever that means to them.
Right.
And of course, I just have to add this. I have to give a huge shout out to my team. I look across the last 18 months, as you've said, and what we've accomplished during that time, and none of it would have been achieved without this incredible team. It's that passion, the creativity, and resilience that I see every day. So they're also the ones fueling the growth and keeping impact at the center, and building the culture is also what makes this brand so special. So the opportunity, as I look forward to lead alongside this team is also incredibly rewarding.
And I if the Rock Fight is like the outdoor industry equivalent of coming on Hot Ones, I appreciate you coming on and sitting through it. I've said it before on the show. We want to just be a bit of a mirror for the industry because we want the industry to be the best version of itself. We aim for the head, but it has to come from the heart. So we'll lob some rocks, we'll make some jokes and some criticism, but ultimately, that's how I think things get better. So appreciate you coming on board and talking with me today. And, we'll be excited to see how this all comes out. Excited for new fleece, excited to see all these things grow. And thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it, Lindsay.
Well, thanks, Colin. And I appreciate you having me on today.
All right, that's the show for today. Thanks to my guest, Lindsay Shumlas. The Rock Fight is a production of Rock Fight LLC. I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening. And like I said, come back on Monday for the Monday Boys. And of course, subscribe and listen to Open Container and Gear Abbey. And now, to take us out, it's our guy, Krista Makes. He's going to sing the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock fight.